awesome. He can move mountains. He will move mountains. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you. Today is a special day. Today is a special moment. Not just for the United Workers' Party, not just for Castries East, but for St. Lucia. I have to say that the entrance of Fortuna Belrose into the politics of St. Lucia was one of the factors that influenced my re-entry. And I have to tell you that for the most part, I have dealt with Fortuna professionally. Fortuna is not someone I've gone to sit and have a cup of coffee with, and we need to do that, my sister. Fortuna is not someone I've gone and had some ice cream with, but as a minister of government, when I served for more than 8 years, I had many opportunities to deal with Fortuna up close and from a distance. And I can tell you, I have always been impressed with this woman. Even Fortuna's detractors have to admit that she is a hard-working woman. Even Fortuna's detractors have to admit that she's a professional and committed woman. And even Fortuna's detractors have to admit that she's a strong woman. Fortuna is the kind of woman we need in the politics of St. Lucia. And if we had somebody like a Fortuna Belrose in the cabinet, our health would not be in the state that it is at the moment. Brothers and sisters, the government led by the Kenny Anthony administration totally has given up on St. Lucia. They do not believe anymore in St. Lucia. They do not believe anymore in the people of St. Lucia. They no longer love St. Lucia. They no longer have a heart for St. Lucia. They no longer are excited about prospering St. Lucia. The only thing they want is to hold on to power at all costs for the sake of holding on to power and lining their pockets. I looked at Kenny Anthony's New Year address. I don't know if you remember that. And if you didn't see it, find it on YouTube, find it somewhere, and look at Kenny Anthony's New Year address. The Prime Minister looked like he was carrying such a heavy burden of governing St. Lucia. This beautiful island, anyone should be so excited about having such a beautiful island with so many natural resources and such beautiful people to be governing an island like that. Kenny Anthony looked like he was carrying a big burden on his back. And brothers and sisters, there are so many reasons why we can still be excited about our country. What we need is a new government, a government of the United Workers' Party led by capable people with vision, who love their country, who have ability, and who have a heart for the people. And that is what we are offering you tonight on the platform, and that's what we are offering you in Castries East. Ou min pou di mwen. Fwek se ou min pou di mwen. Philippe J. Pierre. Apwe 20 l'année, kon yon mam parlement a constituency sa la, ka gade moun a Castries East e ka di moun pou pon $5 pou boucher yon tou. Di mwen yon bagay fwek se.
Are you serious?
Dis-moi yon bagay, oui, c'est ça il dit. Philippe J. Pierre dit $5 is enough to block a hole to feed a family. I want to talk about that. And at the end of tonight, you have to call on Philip J. Pierre to apologize for saying that, because that is an insult to the people of Marshall, to the people of Arundel Hill, to the people of Bagatelle, to the people of Maynard Hill and Black Malay and George Charles Boulevard, and to Wouge, pour Philippe J. Pierre dit that $5 sa bouche yon tout. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. This is what he said. Philip J. Pierre does not understand the importance of nutrition, good nutrition. How can you take $5 to feed a family and give that family a balanced meal? So you mean to tell me after people have supported you for 20 years, that's your only goal and aspiration for them? Philip J. Pierre, in his 19 years, 15 years as a government minister, and 19 years or almost 20 years in office, you know how much money Philip J. Pierre has earned as a government minister? Brothers and sisters, as a government minister, Philip J. Pierre makes $126,000 annually every year. Every year he puts at least $126,000 in his pocket as his salary. Brothers and sisters, in the 15 years that he has been a government minister, he has earned close to $1.8 million as his salary. And from the first day of January, he knows right up to December the very day that money will be in his account, and he can plan for it. So how can he tell a pregnant mother who has to eat a nutritious meal to feed herself and her baby, this is not a joke. This is serious. On that alone, you should retire Philip J. Pierre from politics. How can Philip J. Pierre tell a nursing mother who has to eat to breastfeed her baby to take $5 to buy a meal to feed herself, her other 4 children, and the baby she has to breastfeed? Is Philip J. Pierre living somewhere in space? Doesn't Philip J. Pierre understand the pockets of poverty and unemployment he has in his constituency? Did Philip J. Pierre check how many people in his constituency even have the $5 in their pocket he's asking them to take Puyo Boucheyon too? Brothers and sisters, if nothing should let you know that Philip J. Pierre has spent his time in politics, that alone should tell you that. Now let's talk a little bit about that nutritious meal that everybody needs. So Philip J. Pierre is telling a construction worker who has to work hard on the construction site to feed his family to take $5 to feed his family. That cannot even feed himself for the day. So Philip J. Pierre is telling the policeman, the nurse, the fireman, everybody, that's what they should do. And that's his aspiration, and you should be happy. Listen, low birth weight is a serious problem in St. Lucia. If a pregnant mother does not eat a nutritional meal, her baby is born very likely with low birth weight. Do you know what that means? It means that the child can die, the child can develop heart problems, the child can die either at death or in infancy. It means that that child can have a low IQ. It means that that child will not achieve at school. And what does that affect? That affects your economic growth. That affects your GDP, low productivity. So Philip J. Pierre's $5 to block a hole is not just what he said. It affects economic growth in this country. And that is why, under this administration, under the leadership of Kenny Anthony, St. Lucia can record the lowest economic growth in the OECS. That is their legacy. That is their legacy, and we have to take these things seriously. I'm calling on Philip J. Pierre to apologize to the people of Castries East and to apologize to the people of St. Lucia for making that irresponsible remark. And I am calling the people of Castries East to block every hole. The holes you have to block is in Touge, in Arundel Hill, in Marshall. These are the holes you have to block so Philip J. Pierre cannot come in there and tell you nonsense. That's what you have to block. Brothers and sisters, we have a woman in Fortuna Belrose. I mean, women have to use their feminine charm, I agree. You know, I personally believe there's nothing I'll ask my husband, he wouldn't give it to me because of how I'm going to ask. Yes. There's nothing I'll ask my husband, he wouldn't give it to me. Why? I'll think of what I'm asking him. I'll wait for the right time to ask him. Sometimes I can wait for weeks to ask my husband something because I'm waiting for the right time. I'm going to make the path smooth before I come to him with what I'm asking. Women have to use their feminine charm to get what they have to get. But there are sometimes, sisters will talk, but there are sometimes we have to put our foot down so people can respect us. And that is what Alvina Reynolds and Emma Hippolyte have failed to do. So it's yes, Kenny, no, Kenny. I had in that cabinet. There was another woman who was, yes, Kenny, no, Kenny. And Sarah was the troublemaker, always fighting for the Ministry of Health, fighting for the A&E, fighting for the women's shelter, fighting for the women of St. Lucia. It will be different this time. It will be different this time with the women and with people like Fortuna Belrose. So I just want to talk a little bit because every night we've had these meetings. I've been telling you a little something I would like to see put in that basket of health services for people. So I want to put something else in that basket of health services tonight that should be available to all St. Lucians regardless of economic status. Children's health. You mothers and fathers out here, because I know there are many fathers who are single parents. Even in my constituency, when I walked about in New Village yesterday and in Pierre's Gap today, I'm seeing fathers who are single parents. Sometimes we think it's mostly, but fathers out there doing a great job. And kudos, I want to big up the fathers tonight who are the single parents in our country. We know, parents know, just listen, your child has a runny nose, okay? A simple runny nose. When my children have a runny nose, I take that seriously because I know if I don't deal with it, it's going to land up as an air infection, a throat infection, a fever. They'll have to stay away from school. They'll infect other children at school. I take a runny nose seriously. How many parents here tonight? You see the small symptoms of a cold coming, they cannot go and buy a little antihistamine or whatever you use. I'm not prescribing anything. Whatever you need to get at the pharmacy or wherever just to stop that runny nose. You can't afford that. You can't afford it. That needs to go in your basket of health services. Stop a runny nose. It's simple, it sounds simple, but it also affects economic growth. Because that runny nose, if it's not addressed, the child will go to school, very soon the cold will become infectious, that child will infect other children, that runny nose may turn into an ear infection, a throat infection, and you'll have to find yourself paying the doctor to get an antibiotic, more money, because the runny nose could not be addressed. That mother or father would have to stay away from work, and other parents of children who have become infected will stay away from work. A runny nose affects your economic growth, low productivity. not to talk about the suffering and inconvenience it causes. It is time that we have a national health insurance that provides basic health care to every St. Lucian, regardless of ability to pay. And this is not rocket science. This is not something that the government has to think and think. It's done in other parts of the world. And from 2003, there was a report done on national health financing that recommended a basic basket of services. It is time for it to be implemented. It's time for it to be implemented. Brothers and sisters, unemployment is 24%. 24%. And the government in 5 years has not been able to bring it down. It has been increasing every year. It has been increasing every year. And Brother Guy Joseph made a point at the Castries Central meeting. About Samuel Kaidi Abweza. Brother Guy Joseph made a very important point, and I agree. He suggested that those fathers who have been put in jail, those men who are dedicated to their families, who are looking for employment genuinely, who cannot find it, should not be languishing in jail because they have not been able to find employment. I think that's wrong. The people who promise jobs, have not been able to deliver, and we have not punished them yet. We have not punished the people who promise jobs, that these men languishing in jail believed in and voted for them. We have not punished these people. So I agree that we should find a way to provide employment for fathers in particular who need to feed their families, who are genuinely looking for employment. We should not be punishing them with a prison sentence. Because while they're in jail, the children still don't get fed, and they are not home to parent and father their children. And that is a big reason why we have so much social problems in this country. We have to be fair to all of our citizens. But I want to speak about the $200 that's being paid. That's not enough for mothers when fathers can afford to pay more. So we have to look into ensuring that for fathers who can pay, that it is a percentage of their salary that is taken, and that the child's welfare is paramount. So just things I'm throwing out there. It is important that we look at the system and make it fair. Now, I hope everybody heard me very clearly. Please, ma vie Pierre Mwedi Samwe Padi. Okay? Very important. The situation of crime is out of control. Kenny Anthony's response after 20 years in government, 15 as a prime minister, is to ask the criminals to give us a break. Metansa, idi pou baise muna a break pou Noël. This idea. Give the people a break for Christmas. So, after Christmas, they can kill us, they can rape us, they can rob us at gunpoint, because Kenny said, give us a break for Christmas. And that is what is happening now. So Victor Locobinier increases his security for himself, personally, and leaves the women out there to be raped and vulnerable. So he increases his personal security, but he leaves us out there. He leaves us out there vulnerable to be raped and murdered by the criminals out there. It is time to retire these people from office. A rape victim is not a statistic. A rape victim is not a statistic. That is a woman or a man who's been violated in the worst possible way. Brothers and and sisters, every time there is a rape in the country, the media calls me. And honestly, I am tired of speaking about it. It's time to do something about it. After we speak and make all the noise, that woman, that child has to go on living. And it takes a lifetime for them to get over it, if they ever do. So we have to realize that a rape victim is not a statistic. So, brothers and sisters, I think that the political leader is making his entrance, I think. So I just want to tell you how happy I am to see you tonight and to ask you to give Fortuna Belrose that support that she needs, and do Philip JP a favor. Thank him for whatever he's done and retire him from politics. Thank you.